Let's listen a little bit of Tim Walz talking about the political assassinations that had happened today, June 14th, 2025. This is the same day as the No Kings protest.
Public servant, a fixture and a giant in Minnesota. She woke up every day determined to make this state a better place. She is irreplaceable, and we've been missed by so many.
Okay, so he's talking about this Melissa Hortman, and we'll look at some videos of Melissa Hortman in a minute, but first let's take a look at the shooter. So this is the shooter is right here, okay? All these pictures, that's the shooter, here's the shooter. He is, I forget what age he is, but they said that he's 220 pounds, 6'1", with brown eyes. He's also got a funny looking face. He's got like a sharp nose, right? And he's got like dark hair, receding hairline, like a Munster, like an Eddie Munster sort of thing. And then he's got, you know, like a gray goatee, but sometimes he shaves himself. And then on this picture, he's wearing a cowboy hat. So he's wearing a cowboy hat. He's got this, you know, Eddie Munster sort of receding hairline. Overall, he seems like kind of an ordinary-faced person, but I won't say that because he doesn't have an ordinary face. He kind of looks like a peevish douchebag, right? And so since he is small and tiny, and since he's insecure, at the very core of him, he is evil. He is evil. So I got some details that I want to share, and then we'll, you know, listen to Tim Walz a little bit more. But it was two households. This guy's name is Vance Boelter, B-O-E-L-T-E-R, Vance Luther Boelter. And what Vance Luther Boelter had done is he killed two lawmakers out of Minnesota in two different households. So, I don't know the times exactly, but I do know that at 2 a.m., a 911 call came from John Hoffman's house from Champlin, C-H-A-M-P-L-I-N. And then 3:35, they're going to show up to the scene, which is an hour and 35 minutes later. So an hour and 35 minutes later, when the police show up to the scene at John Hoffman's house, they get a phone call that said that there was a similar scene of carnage at Melissa Hortman's house. Ultimately, what Vance Boelter had done, he had killed Melissa Hortman, and he killed Melissa Hortman's husband, Mark. Melissa Hortman had two children. And then he went to John Hoffman's house in another city. So he was able to get to two towns, two households. And then when they went to John Hoffman's house, the gunman was actually there. Vance Boelter was actually at the house of John Hoffman. Now, Tim Walz had said that he was cautiously optimistic that John Hoffman and his wife, Yvette, they were both shot, grievously injured, seriously injured, but he's cautiously optimistic that they're going to survive. So this Vance Boelter, this is such a incredible story. Because Vance Luther Boelter, he showed up as a police officer. He showed up dressed as a cop. And actually his day job is the director of private security, the Praetorian Guard. So he's the director of a private security firm. So he shows up dressed like a cop, probably the whole uniform, right? Has a hat and a badge and a uniform. Shows up looking like a cop, goes in, you know, murders Melissa Hortman and Mark, and then drives over to, Melissa Hortman was in Brooklyn Park. So he was in Brooklyn Park, went to Melissa Hortman and Mark's house dressed as a police officer, and then he drives over to John Hoffman's house in Champlin. And then here's another interesting detail. He's driving a cop car. He's driving a cop car. So the cop car had sirens and lights and everything. So, you know, this is interesting how Tim Walz is going to say, hey, just let the police do their job. The police need to allow for strong Americans to keep an eye on things. I remember there was a shooter that was at the White House, was just shooting the White House, and it was a guy in a cowboy hat that ran to him and chased him down and tackled him. So to think that, civilians can't be heroes, civilians can be heroes. Isn't that what happened in Colorado? What was that guy's name? That guy was there, he killed the active shooter, and then the cops killed him. The cops are overzealous. The cops think that they're only the people that can be the heroes and that they can only do their damn jobs. They're small, they're insecure as well. And so when they say, hey, let the cops do their jobs, I don't know if that's exactly the solution, because it's a cop looking like motherfucker going around killing people. And then Tim Walz also said that this is political assassinations. We need to stop with the political violence. No, we need to stop with all the violence. All we'd have to do is just a quick Google search. Let's do a quick Google search just to see how many other people were shot today. Because these shootings happen all the time. I would say about 50 Americans are getting shot every day. I'm just going to type in shooting and see what I get. So a lot about the Minnesota shooting, but here's 6 injured following an overnight shooting in downtown Columbus. Suspect in Northern Kentucky police involved shooting identified. Large police presence in downtown Fort Wayne after shooting. Overnight shooting in South Cumminsville leaves 1 person dead. So if anything, the lawmakers, they're going to pay attention to him. They're going to look at this case, and they're going to spend a lot of time and effort to go after Vance Boelter. But who's going to go after all these other shooters? Shooting at Hoover Restaurant leaves 1 injured. Investigation going. 1 dead, 4 injured after overnight shooting outside Delaware home. Let's just pull this one up. I mean, you live in America, and I don't know if you didn't know that or not, but these shootings are just happening every day. Every single day. So I don't know why this is playing. I wish it wasn't. But they're saying 1 dead, 4 injured. Delaware. I mean, even in Delaware, people are getting shot. Police are investigating after 1 person was killed. The Dover Police Department, just before 1 a.m. Are they saying who? It's a 22-year-old man. Yeah, the media and the cops, they never tell us what the hell is actually going on. So I'm glad that they did say Vance Boelter's name so the rest of us could be on the lookout for him. But Tim Walz also said that the No Kings protests need to be disbanded. They need to cease and desist, which is insane. They're coming for our freedoms. They're attacking our freedoms. Officers transported him to the hospital where he later died. So the 22-year-old is going to die. Then you have a 58-year-old man, 26-year-old man, 21-year-old man, all were shot. Well, 4 men were shot. But they're not saying, who the person was. They're not saying who was shot, who the person was, but there is a cash reward. Okay, this is a shitty article. This is a shitty article. If I'm, let's just say we have a bunch of American heroes who don't wear badges and hats and uniforms. So none of the American heroes can read this article and go after the person that did the murder. Nobody knows what the hell is going on based on this article. Oh, 1 guy was there, 4 guys are shot, one guy is dead. Hey, can you knock it off? Can you knock it off? One dead, 4 injured, overnight shooting of Delaware. Okay, so I was just doing that to compare and contrast. Let's get back to the story. Now, if this was Donut Operator, right, Donut Operator would just have a good old laugh. Oh, man, Donut Operator would just laugh so much. He glorifies violence. He would say, oh, that Melissa Hortman, she didn't comply. She didn't comply, and she's dead. Why is she dead? Because she's got a bunch of bullets in her. Oh, she's dead as a doornail. She's not going to show her empathy ever again. She's graveyard dead, to quote that Florida fucking deputy. Graveyard dead. This guy was impersonating a police officer. He works in security, so he probably was dressed like security. But a lot of times, security can have really fancy uniforms as well. Fancy cars with sirens, fancy looking cop cars with sirens, fancy looking uniforms and badges and hats. So, was he impersonating a police officer or not? I don't know. I don't know exactly. It might just be a cop-looking car and him looking like a cop. He looking like a cop. So, 2 a.m. is when the 911 call came in at John Hoffman. So, they're going to show up to John Hoffman's house an hour and a half later. Okay, that's terrible response time. The guy is still there. Vance Boelter is still in John Hoffman's house. An hour and a half later, he's still in the guy's house. Well, the cops are there, and this, Vance Boelter shoots at the cops a couple times, and then runs out the back door. And he's still at large. He's still at large. Maybe he's hanging in Washington State with that damn Travis Decker. They also found a manifesto that was identifying more politicians, and they're all Democrats too. It almost seems like a lot of these articles, they're burying the lead. They're burying the lead. Vance Boelter is targeting Democratic politicians, the Democrats. Melissa Hortman was a Democrat. John Hoffman was a Democrat. And he had a manifesto of a bunch of list of other people. And who were the list of other people? Were they also Democrats? So that's why Tim Walz is afraid of political shootings, but I'm just sick of all the shootings. The violence has got to stop. We need to stop at the rapes, the murders, the stealing, the assaults, the arsons, the child abuse. The violence has got to stop. I know America, you guys just love killing a bunch of Palestinian kids, but what if we're the Palestinians? And if we're the Palestinians and we're all just sitting ducks out here, as soon as somebody knocks on the door and they look like a police officer, you're just supposed to comply, right? Comply or die? You better shut the hell up or they're going to shoot you. That one guy, that motorist got shot and killed on the damn side of the road because his license was suspended. Is that something to be shooting and murdering people for? So Tim Walz is going to condemn the political violence. Oh, okay. How about condemning all the damn violence, Tim Walz? And then order the No Kings protest to cease and desist. I would order the protesters to look out for, this damn Vance Boelter. Post his fucking name, talk about him, put his face everywhere, say who he is, say what he's up to, say what he's done, give us the areas of where he might be. Does he have relatives? Where's he going to go? Is he just in Minnesota? He's got this company in Minnesota. Does he go to Canada? Does he go to Montana? Where's he going to go next? Nobody knows. If I was Tim Walz, I wouldn't order the No Kings protest to cease and desist. I would say, here's the guy. Keep an eye out for him. Empower the American people. Trust the American people. Trust in the American heroes. The American heroes who don't wear a badge and uniform. To think that only the authorities know what to do? I mean, give me a fucking break. We all got some degree of authority from God, from our own humanity. As a citizen, as a good person. And then last but not least, Vance Boelter, he had an armored vest. So this guy's locked and loaded and we're ready to, go balls to the wall. He's got the armored vest. He's got guns. He's dressed like a cop, driving a cop's car. Who knows who to trust? You'd like to think that the cops always do good, but hell, if he's dressed like a cop, you can't be for sure if that's a police officer or if that's a damn gunman criminal who's ready to just go around assassinating people. This Melissa Hortman was a giant. She had 2 children. She was a House Speaker for 6 years. The FBI and the ATF are on the scene. So don't worry, America. Go back to bed. The FBI and the ATF is on the case. Yeah, but the FBI didn't even know that Jeffrey Epstein, they still think he killed himself. Are you fucking kidding? Are you fucking kidding? Interesting how Jeff Epstein killed himself and then nobody on his client list went to jail. Interesting how war criminals and Epsteiners get to walk around freely. We need to trust strong Americans. We need to trust strong Americans. Citizens can make citizens arrest. And to say, everybody go back in their home and then just trust the police. Well, what happens when that police officer knocks on your door and, oh, whoopsie daisy, that wasn't a police officer. That was Vance Boelter. Well, you told us to trust the cops. So you open the door and you let them in.
Minnesota's thoughts and prayers are with her family, her loved ones, her children, and her parents. My prayers also go out to State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, who were each shot multiple times. The Hoffmans are out of surgery at this time and receiving care.
Let's listen to Melissa Hortman and let's see You know, what's the danger? What's the danger? What is, what are they so afraid of? What is this Vance Boelter afraid of?
We're here today because an unspeakable tragedy
I want to hear her speak. I want to hear a speech. I want to hear her voice. I want to see her face and her voice. Do we have any videos of her speaking? Here we go.
Right now we're talking about him as a lawmaker, but this is also a 60-year-old man who lives in Minnesota, who lives in service. You got to learn to compromise.
I think, speaking to the compromise, it was a demand by the GOP to settle the budget. We fought really hard. We were in a room about 12 hours a day together from about April 30th through May 14th with Senate Majority Leader Aaron Murphy and Governor Walz and me, fighting really hard to preserve this health care. These are people who live in Minnesota, they work in Minnesota, they go to church with us, their children go to school with our children. It's a poor population, they pay taxes just like the rest of us. And Minnesota Care for undocumented folks, it's an income-related program. So not everybody in the state gets Minnesota Care, and not every undocumented person in the state gets Minnesota Care. It's an income-based program. So these are people who don't have a lot of means. They can't go to the private market and buy health insurance because they can't afford to do that. So this will hurt real people, but it was important to resolve the state budget agreement so we can keep the state functioning. And when the Republicans won 67 seats in the election in November, it was clear they would come to the Capitol and they would demand a price for their participation, and this was the price they demanded.
So there you go. That's the devil. That's the boogeyman. That's the Baba Yaga. That's the Kiki Mori. That's the Kiki Mora. That's who this guy is just totally afraid of and terrified of. Oh no, what is she going to do? Oh no, she's talking about health care. She's talking about making sure the people of Minnesota have their health care. Oh no, we're so scared and terrified. Oh my God. So to recap, so we're not burying the lead, you got this fucking guy dressed like a cop. Maybe he is a cop, private security. He's a rent-a-cop. So you got this rent-a-cop who's going around killing Democratic lawmakers. Had a manifesto, was going to kill more. They confronted him. They found him at the house. That's the thing. When you found the guy at the house, Tecumseh was murdered, and then the guy drives off, and now I can't find out who did it. When you got the eye on the guy, you got to keep the eye on the guy and keep it going in. I don't know if you just saw the King Soopers shooting, but the cops fucked it up. Uvalde, they fucked it up. Instead of running into the building to save the people, they let the shooter kill all the people that he was going to kill. And then when the people were down on the ground, he put a couple more bullets in them to make sure that they were shot dead. So because the police were too afraid to go into the building, the King Soopers shooter was able to kill some more. Uvalde, that gunman kept on shooting people. There was cops that wanted to go in, and then the cops are sitting there harassing the moms and the fathers and the journalists, making sure that they make sure they don't do their job. Yeah, because that's the danger. That's the threat, right? American heroes are not the threat. We need good journalists. We need, hero mothers and fathers. They went in there and they saved their children, unlike what the Uvalde police did. And while the cops were too afraid to go into King Soopers, and when they did, the guy just surrendered. Well, shit, you had like 100 or 200 damn cops at King Soopers ready for war. And the guy just surrenders? I mean, they're all amped up. They all had their uniforms. They're all excited, and they all got there. And now what are they to do? Well, now they're going to go harass the journalist. There was just people that were standing there behind the yellow tape, kind of saying, what's going on? Don't you want to get some witness testimonies? Don't you want to gather some evidence? And then last but not least, I will mention the rhetoric of this administration. They don't know what habeas corpus is. He doesn't know if he's supposed to uphold the damn Constitution, even though his oath of office says he was supposed to uphold the Constitution. He doesn't know what the Declaration of Independence is. He breaks the Constitution, invading California. He's escalating the situation. This motherfucker won. This is not a good winner. This is not a good, gracious winner. It's like at the end of any baseball or football or basketball game, we would shake the hands of the opposing team. So instead of having a hatred, an intense hatred of the other person. Ultimately, we recognize their humanity. But that's not what this administration has done. They're still amping up, talking crazy fucking talk, acting like Joe Biden is the worst goddamn motherfucking president that's ever lived. I mean, he was doing a genocide, so they're right when it comes to the damn genocide. But the rhetoric is out of this world. It's like they haven't won. It's like he's not trying to soothe the American public. He doesn't say, okay, I need to represent both Democrats and Republicans and Greens and Libertarians. He's not saying that at all. He's still talking crazy. He's still talking crazy. You talked crazy. You won the damn thing. Now, can you fucking just be a good president? Can you just be a good president? Calm, stoic. You come out, you comfort the nation. You say everything's taken care of. You push for your bills. You push for your initiatives. He's talking about arrested fucking governors and shit. Motherfucker is pushing us into, oblivion. Pushing us over a cliff. The fascism is out of control. The fascism is out of control. So when they talk about, I've read a couple quotes, but it's hard to listen to anything that they fucking say. It's your rhetoric that did this. It's your rhetoric.